Hello again and welcome to another video from the Marketing Study Guide. In this video I'm going to have a look at the 5 types of perceptual maps. Now if you've ever picked up a Marketing Principles textbook, chances are you think there's only one type of perceptual map. And it was typically presented as a 2-dimensional map, 2 attributes and various brands are mapped on them. So you typically Marketing 101 textbook will talk about that as perception. Okay, so under that we have 2 types of maps. One, this one here, if it's based on consumer data, if it's actually measuring consumers' perception, then this becomes a perceptual map. And we would run multiples of these and look at variations of different maps at different levels, different segments, different competitors, different attributes, and that will allow us to analyze the market, hopefully gain some insights. However, if we do not have consumer data and we are just plotting it from a strategic viewpoint, the marketing team or the management team going, okay, we think we're here, we'd like to be over here, then we're going to call that a positioning map because there's no perceptions on it. It's not based on consumer information or image data. It's simply based on our understanding of how we would like to be positioned. So that's your first 2, and they're the probably 2 you know about. Okay, then we're going to look at what's called a multi-dimensional scaled map or scaling map, MDS. And what you notice here is we've got the blue dots, which are the brands. So a mapping the brands as we have done here, no change so far. But then instead of just 2 attributes, fun, silly, that's 1 attribute. Clever, silly, fun, dull. They're just 2 attributes between them. We've got fun, friendly, clever, for me, dated, logical. Any number of attributes could fit onto this map. So hence we're looking at multi-dimensions, not just 2. Okay, so we're putting everything on the map at the same time. And you notice it's in a box or in a circle. There's no axis running in this map. It's just a blank sheet of paper. And this could be rotated in any direction. So what we do is we throw everything out and we go, okay, that's what the data is suggesting, mapping everything at the one time. Now, if our data is too complex, this is going to be quite challenging, but if we have a limited set of competitors and a limited set of attributes, this will work fairly nicely. And I have a link below to a template that can do this for you. And what we do then as marketing analysts is to work out how these things are interconnected. Which brands are relatively close together, so they're key competitors. So we're looking at distance. So think of it like a map that you would have online or in the old days in an atlas. The ones that are far apart are not really competing. They're seen as quite different. The closest we are to a particular attribute, then the stronger we're associated with it. So this brand here is seen as fun, but it's not, this brand here is not seen as for me or dated. Okay, so it shows us what we're associated with. It also shows us what attributes are competitive or a number of brands are trying to be owned by or trying to own. So for example, this brand here is a mix of dated and friendly and logical. And so is this brand here. So these attributes are shared. They're shared attributes. So here we can't really tell unless we run a whole series of perceptual maps, and we might need dozens of them. Here we can do it with 1 map or a couple of cut down multi-dimensional scaled maps. So how close are we? Are we far away? Are we close together? That tells us competitors, attributes that we own, attributes that we share. Then we move down to something called correspondence analysis. And you may have seen this if you've been using a professional research company. You usually need a sophisticated software package to do this. Each of these can be done in Excel, and I have templates available, see the link below. But this is very, very difficult to do in Excel. It can be done, but it's quite mechanical. But so you really need to use a statistical package to do it. Okay, what we have here is we have what they call factors. And in correspondence analysis, it'll give you a score of how much of these factors explain the market. So it gives you a percentage score of how accurate the map is. And then we've got our attributes scattered around, as we do here, and we've got our brands scattered around as we do here. But the maps are very different, okay? And I've got a separate video that goes through this in detail with real data, but I'll just do it quickly here. This is a relative measure. This is looking at how distinct the brand is. So in the middle, the closer you are in the middle, the less distinctive your brand is. So if you're right in the middle, you're seen as having the average brand and you do not stand out for anything. Not a good place to be on this type of map. Then the further we are out, so the ones on the edges here are considered quite distinctive. They pop, they stand out for those attributes if they're in line with them. So I've got a dotted line here, so friendly. This brand here is seen as quite friendly, quite distinct in that regard. Anything close here, even though it might be in line with something, is not standing out. It has a weak connection to, this one here has a weak connection to dated. And if we go with these ones here, I've got a dotted line that goes through for me halfway between fun and clever. I've got a brand here and a brand there. Both of those brands are in a similar alignment. So both of those brands are associated with those attributes. But this one here has done it a lot better. It's far more distinctive. This is less distinctive. So these are similar looking maps, but you read them quite differently. And then finally, we have what's called an overall similarity map. And I've just got brands listed on here. There's no axis, there's no attributes. And the way this data is collected, if I explain that, then this map will make sense. Let's use drinks. So Coca-Cola, Pepsi. How similar are they on a scale? So you might say they're quite similar and give them a high score. Then it's Coke versus 7-Up. Oh, they're quite different. Coke versus Dr. Pepper, and you run through every combination. Obviously you can't use too many brands because the combinations start mounting up. Each time you add another brand, it's got to be compared against each other. But what you're trying to do is then map this out. And what this does is it changes the thinking of the consumer from a attribute-based consideration to an overall consideration, all the attributes together. This is quite valuable if you can get the data for this, because typically a lot of products are not bought on a single attribute. The consumer is looking at the value proposition or sum of benefits. So what we're doing here is mapping sort of which ones are close together, which ones are far apart, which is in reality, the easy part. The difficult challenge now as an analyst is going, okay, these brands, brand D and brand A, they're considered very similar. Brand E is over here by itself. B somewhere in the middle and C's down there. And then it's up to the analyst to try and work out what is the underlying dimensions. How are consumers looking at the overall set? What attributes or sets of attributes or combinations are they considering? So we've got to work out what drives something here, drives something there, etc. The analytical part of it is far more challenging. Okay, but what it gives us is an overall evaluation rather than an attribute-based evaluation. So depending upon your company, your access to data, depends what you will be using. If we've done some sort of image survey and we've collected consumer perceptions, we would do dozens of these and just populate them and look for market insights and opportunities. If we don't have the data, we would do a positioning map and estimate where we are, estimate where we want to go to, and then go, okay, what things need to happen in communication and brand building and our marketing mix elements to get us there. This one here, if we're a little bit more sophisticated and we've got the data again, these all obviously rely on data, and we're interested to see what we own, what we share, how the market maps out in its entirety. This one here, if we're using a market research company, Okay, and they're able to run this analysis for us, and of course we're able to collect the data, and it's going to tell us how distinctive our brand is, okay, and where we stand out, and again, key competitors and which attributes we're connected to. And then finally, this one here, if we've got an analyst who can do this, it's a different type of mapping. It's still a perceptual map, but it changes it from attribute-based to an overall evaluation as suggested. So larger companies, we would probably use most of these different maps. Smaller companies were probably down here because we don't have the data and the analytical power. So hopefully that helps explain the different types of perceptual maps, and hopefully in your marketing career, etc., you will get beyond just using the standard two-dimensional. Very valuable tool. I'm a big fan of it, but there are other tools that you can supplement with and gain a lot more knowledge about the market. If you like this video, hit the like button and please subscribe to the channel.